to tear into the bad boy. I kind of got to do several different jobs at once here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the rear wheel and take the swing arm out because I'm gonna put the Boyd Coddington billet aluminum swing arm in this bike with a performance machine brake and a billet 18-inch rear wheel. In order to get easy access to the swing arm pivot and a bunch of the other hardware I have to address to remove it, I'm gonna remove the pipes, and the pipes are going bye-bye anyhow. I'm gonna put the West Coast Choppers Hellbent pipes on it. So I'll take these Vance & Hines long shots off of it first and get them out of the way. Then I can really start taking the back end of the bike apart. I'm gonna go ahead and get the seat out of the way too, just because I'm sick of looking at it. Since I'm working on a late 90s motorcycle and a 90s guy, I busted out my good tools, my Jesse James West Coast Choppers Mac tools. I don't use them all the time, but on something like this, it just feels right. My old snap-on battery-powered impact is getting kind of tired over the years, so I'm going to try this new Ingersoll Rand 20-volt impact that I just picked up. It's time to slide this masterpiece up in here, the Boyd Coddington billet aluminum swing arm. I kept this off of my Fat Boy. I had one of my other bad boy, and then I got a second one that I put on the 1999 Fat Boy. They're just so hard to find. I doubted I'd find another one, so I kept it, and it's time to get it up in here. Because I'm going for a 3/4 ID bearing to a 1-inch ID bearing, the centering ring on the hub is bigger. So the factory Harley-Davidson Softail pulley has a 2-inch center hole in the pulley, but the wheels I'm using have a 2.2-inch center hole. So I have to put it in the lathe and enlarge this hole to 2.2 inches. I got the rear wheel all set up with the brake centered in the caliper on the Boyd Coddington billet aluminum swing arm. I gotta bleed the rear brake, but I'm also changing the forward controls on the bike. And so when I do that, I gotta change the brake line because the brake line isn't the right length, and do a whole host of other things that have to happen. I need to get all that done so I can put the exhaust pipes back on it. So right now I'm gonna take the rear brake line off the bike and take the foot control off the bike and get the other foot controls on it so that I can get all this stuff done. Like I told you in the beginning, there's kind of a bunch of things going on here at once. And I ripped through it pretty quick here with this Ingersoll Rand impact. Makes everything pretty fast. Just got to bleed these rear brakes. I got everything done on the back end of the bike. The rear wheel's all in, the brakes bled. I got the foot control on the bike. I'm gonna go ahead and do the front wheel now. This should be a lot easier because it's a lot easier to access the front wheel on this bike without having to get inside that swing arm and up in the rear fender. So go ahead and knock this axle out and get the 21-inch wheel out of the bike. I'm going to go ahead and remove the fender from the bike for now. Like I mentioned in the first video, I'm going to make the suspension to get this fender to ride above the 23-inch wheel. But right now I'm going to get the wheel and brake back in the front end. And then I'll have to come back and make a whole nother video installment of how to get that fender on this bike because it's a lot of work. So I'm getting the front wheel set up. I got the wheel in the bike without the brake rotor because the rotor kind of just gets in the way. But I've got my floating brake bracket on. It slides on a sleeve here that I had to machine. If you want to see how I do that, hit the link below. I did it on my 95 bad boy a few years ago. And on the other side, this is a dual flange hub for dual brakes. I'll make a cover for that, but really all I have to do is machine the spacer for this side right now. Then I can put the brake rotor on this, put the brakes back on it, and then this part of the battle is done. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the Burley lowering spring kit in the springer so I can drop the front end down, because this wheel is so much taller than the 21 that was on it. So I'm getting the front wheel set up. I got the wheel in the bike without the brake rotor because the rotor kind of just gets in the way. But I've got my floating brake bracket on. It slides on a sleeve here that I had to machine. If you want to see how I do that, hit the link below. I did it on my 95 bad boy a few years ago. Then on the other side, this is a dual flange hub for dual brakes. I'll make a cover for that, but really all I have to do is machine the spacer for this side right now. Then I can put the brake rotor on this, put the brakes back on it, and this thing, and then this part of the battle is done. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the Burley lowering spring kit in the springer so I can drop the front end down, because this wheel is so much taller than the 21 that was on it. Here's the Burley brand Springer lowering kit. It's really kind of neat. What it is it's a shorter set of bottom springs. I know they look longer now because they're not compressed, but it's a shorter set of bottom springs which will raise your rockers up. And it has a set of spacers that go on the top to extend the top springs. So I'm going to go ahead and install these and show you how it's done and show you a little trick I use to compress the springer. There's a bunch of ways to compress the springer to get the springs out of it and get the new springs in, but I'm going to use my Strongman Richard Petty floor jack to compress these springs. And all I have to do is strap the motorcycle down to the table with a set of motorcycle straps so it can't lift when I jack. And then go ahead and crank the handle on my jack. And it compresses the springer springs for me. It's a pretty neat way. You know, I always try and show you guys ways to do this if you don't have specialty tools. Well, this is a simple set of motorcycle straps and a hydraulic floor jack. And now I'm going to go ahead and slowly release the pressure from the floor jack. You see the springer is going to extend itself. Now to get the springs out, all I have to do is release the shock from the front fork leg and remove the front springer leg links down here at the bottom. And then I can pull the front leg out, pull these springs out, and replace them with the Burley brand lowering springs. Okay, so there's my front springer leg with the original Harley Davidson springs on it. Then here's the Burley brand spring. Now when I put the Burley brand spring against the Harley Davidson spring, you can see the difference in length. And this difference in length is going to allow the Springer front leg to ride up, which rotates the rockers up, which lowers the ride height of the bike. And that's going to compensate for the size of that 23-inch front wheel and not give me some crazy frame ride height. So it's real simple. I'm just going to remove these bushings. I'm going to slide the big heavy Harley Davidson spring off. And again, you can see the difference in length right there. It's as simple as putting the Burley springs back on the front leg. Again, you can see that difference from the Harley Davidson spring to the Burley brand spring. This is what drops my bad boy down to the ground. It gives me that stance I gotta have. I go ahead and put these bushings back on. Same way they came off. Now this unit's ready to go back into the motorcycle already. It just took me a couple minutes to change those springs once I got the front leg off of the bike. Okay, so now the rest of the Burley lowering kit is these upper spring spacers. These go on the inside. And then these little saddles go right here. The stock Harley Davidson spring just goes right on top of that. Get one side started, you can run the nut down. Right, I just released the petty floor jack. Let that springer extend itself. And I've got myself a lowered Harley Davidson bad boy springer. Now that I've got the springer lowered, I'm ready to get this 23-inch front wheel installed in the bike. All right, I got that 23-inch wheel in the bike with the brake all centered, everything's all set up. Now I'm gonna go ahead and change the handlebars and put the Avon heated grips on it. I gotta pull all the wiring harness for the turn signals, the starter button, kill button, everything that's on the handlebar controls goes through the bars right now. So what I have to do is pull the gas tanks off, pull all the wiring and pins out of the gang plugs that are in between the gas tanks. I'll show you all that. And then drill the new handlebars that are going on the bike and reinstall everything. It takes a while. This is several hours worth of work. But if you want to see all of it, go back and watch my other bad boy videos, World's Baddest Bad Boy. The links are below. And you can see exactly how I do this stuff step by step. So all the wiring through the handlebars comes through this harness and into this Deutsch plug here. So I have to take the Deutsch plug apart, pull all the wires out so I can fish it through the handlebars here. So I can fish it through these handlebars and get it in the new bars I'm going to install. Here's the part number for the low-rise drag handlebars I'm putting on here in case you like these. I've got my handlebars clamped between some V-blocks in the milling machine vise and the Bridgeport milling machine. And I got a center cutting end mill. What I'm doing is just going back and forth and cutting a nice little channel in the bottom of the handlebars between where the riser clamps are going to go so that my cables can come through. do the same thing here in the dimples where the hand controls go through. I'm machining a nice big opening in the handlebar for my cables to go through. I'm pulling the cables right now that power the heated Avon grips, which is going to be nice for me in this cold weather. And here's all the wires for my left handlebar hand control. They're extended for the ape hangers. I'm just going to leave the extended cables on there in case I want to put higher handlebars on it at a later date, and I'll just tuck them up in between the gas tanks. You see how nice and easy I'm able to feed these through here. Somebody had hogged these, I wouldn't even call it machining, it looks like they did it with a grinder, but hogged these risers out for 1 1/4 chubby handlebars. So I had to go ahead and take some frame tubing that I used to make motorcycle frames. It's 1 1/4 outside diameter, 1 inch inside diameter, and make these little sleeves to go ahead and allow me to clamp my 1 inch handlebars back in the original risers. Bleeding my front brakes, getting all the air out of this line. Got that brake line fitting real nice and tight down in the springer. Perfect length. Tied up in there nice and neat. It's one of my peeves is when the cables and the brake lines and stuff are the wrong length and don't fit right. So really nice how this fits. I'm really winding through my list of things that I need to get done so I can jump on the bad boy and take it for a spin. I got all the handlebar stuff done now, but the one thing that isn't on the handlebars is the clutch cable, and had to shorten the clutch cable and had to pull the side cover off to do it. Here's the old side cover, but it needed to come off anyhow because I'm running this Roland Sands Design Clarity side cover. I don't even think they make these anymore, but really cool side cover that you can see through, and it's blacked out, which I'm trying to pull as much chrome off of this bike as I can. So the more black parts I can put on it, the better. Now all this stuff's gonna come off in a week or two because I'm putting a Baker 6-speed gear set in the bad boy. But right now, I'm just gonna get it all on so I can get the exhaust pipes on and ride it with this engine and this 5-speed gear set. Then I'll come back and double down on this work. There's a stock cover and cable that I just removed. See, that cable was pretty tore up anyhow. The heat from the exhaust had really cooked it. Then there's the RSD Designs Clarity cover. You can see the clutch cable inside and the mechanism that it pulls to release your clutch. Once I get the clutch lever connected to the cable, I'll go ahead and pull that lever and let you see how it operates and how you can see it function while the bike's running. I'm ready to install the LePera bare bones solo seat on this thing. The LePera bare bones is my go-to seat. The Harley Davidson Softail. Just looks great, so minimal, really comfortable, and really affordable. All right, it's exhaust pipe time. I got the West Coast Choppers Hellbent pipes. The rear mount that mounts the pipes to the frame is missing. They're always missing. I've had to make a couple of them over the last few years, so I'm gonna get the pipes mounted up, make that mount for it, and I'm ready to go for a ride. So my Softail shocks already have a lowering kit on it. These are actually extended lowering kits. Usually drops the ride height by about 1 inch. But because of the Boyd Coddington swing arm, for some reason, the way the Boyd Coddington swing arm is set up, with the lowering kit, the bike rides at stock height. When I had the stock swing arm on the bike, when I got it, it was actually lowered. So this lowering kit's not gonna cut it. I got an adjustable lowering kit. This kit you can extend to lower the bike as much as you want, about 2¼ inches. You can already see just where I have it set, it's already gonna lower the bike because extending this is what lowers the bike. So I'm gonna go ahead and install these, put these shocks back together, get them back in the bike, and then I'll have the proper stance I've been looking for. See the length on the adjustable kit versus the fixed lowering kit. This is gonna allow me to get me where I need to be. So I got the fully adjustable shock links in. Now I'm just gonna compress them back in the strong way press. So you just compress the shock in the press, put this retaining ring in, release the hydraulic pressure. Done. There's this Harley Davidson Softail Showa shocks. You have to go up under here, under the gearbox. So it's kind of difficult to get up under here to adjust these shock links because there's not a lot of room under the bike. But my dad gave me this old mash wrench years ago, and it's super short. It's got a 1-inch end on it. That's actually going to allow me to get under here and adjust these links. You can see as I adjust the link, you can see what happens to the swing arm. Watch. The swing arm is going up into the bike, and that's what's raising the wheel and lowering the ride height of the motorcycle. Alright, big changes to the 1997 Harley Davidson Bad Boy. Let me run through what I've done to the bike for you. First of all, I set the stance by lowering the suspension front and rear. I did the Burley springs on the front spring to lower it. And I put the adjustable extended shock links in the back so I can get the suspension down low where I need it. I put the 18-inch wheel in the rear, 23 in the front, and that really sets the stance for the bike with the lowering kit. While I was lowering it, I installed the Boyd Coddington billet aluminum swing arm, real rare piece from the late 90s, early 2000s, and the PM4 piston brake caliper. I removed 8 hangers and put the low-rise drag bars on it. While I was doing that, I put new cables on it because the cables had to be shorter. When I was installing the clutch cable, I put the Rolling Sands Design Clarity transmission side cover on it, and I changed the forward controls. I put the heated Avon grips on the handlebars. I rode in this morning. It was in the 50s. It was nice to have them. I was able to ride in really light gloves, and the grips were nice and warm in the cold air. I'm going to make a few more minor cosmetic adjustments to the bike. The real big changes that are coming next is the 113 cubic inch S&S Evo engine to replace the 80 cubic inch Harley Davidson Evo engine in it now. And the Baker OD6 Builder's Kit 6-speed gear set that's going to go inside the Harley Davidson 5-speed gearbox. So the Baker 6-speed gear set slides into the Harley Davidson 5-speed box, gives me 6-speed overdrive, which you really need as soon as you add any performance upgrades to the 80-inch Evo, especially with the 113 S&S. You need that overdrive behind you because you start winding the engine out. With the OD6, you can be on the highway 2,000 RPM in 6th gear going 85, 90 miles an hour. It's a really nice touch. Check out how good that 23-inch wheel looks tucked up in that short springer.